This is going to be the same basic beginner muzzle flash tutorial that I did earlier for After Effects, except this time around it's going to be in Final Cut Pro 10. I know this is not a special effects or compositing program, and it's not ideal for this sort of thing, but if it's all you don't have any compositing programs, it can do compositing just fine. So here we are in Final Cut Pro. We have our base footage of our very talented actor shooting a gun. We have our
gun.
Yes, yeah, Matt's here. We have our smoke elements from Detonation Films, and we have a picture of a muzzle flash from the Video Copilot Action Essentials pack with some color correction applied. All of the elements I use in the video will be made available at the end and in the description. So let's get started. So import our footage. You've got now what we need to do is scrub to the moment in the timeline when the muzzle flash would occur. So I believe he shoots a couple of times here. So let's go here. This is the frame before he starts pulling back for the recoil of the gun. And on this same frame, we will go up to our muzzle flash element and drag it in above our footage. And now here we have our footage, but as with the previous tutorial, it's on a black background. And that is a bit of a problem, well, like I said, for obvious reasons. So what you need to do is go into Video under the Inspector tab, scroll down, and change the blend mode from normal to screen. And all 5 of these elements, add, light and screen, color dodge, and linear dodge, in Final Cut Pro, remove the dark elements from the image. But for a bright light source such as this one, I find that screen works best. And there you go. All the dark elements have been removed from the image. So what we can do is transform it. Just move it around.
Wait, what do you do? Oh, opacity.
Okay, yeah, it's by near the opacity tab. So sorry, Matt's sitting next to me. He is very inquisitive. Position it where the muzzle flash would be. Use the arrow here to change the rotation, which I don't think we need to do very much, but it helps good. And as others have mentioned, an excellent frame of reference for the size and position of the muzzle flare is the size of the gun itself. In the case of a pistol, the muzzle flare should be roughly the same size as the pistol. Now, right, there we go. But we need to trim this clip back by we zoom in our footage and use the blade tool, that's B. You can just cut one frame, press A to return to the normal selection menu, select everything else, and so our footage is only there for one frame. Now we've got that there in position. The effect isn't over. What a bright light such as this would have affect the environment. So what would happen here is we're going to duplicate the base layer. This is just Command copy and Command paste, and put it directly on top of our base layer. So here we have our footage, and to the duplicated layer we're going to change the blending mode. Move the playhead. So to change it, you just change the blending mode from, and again, one of these 5 removes the dark areas from the image and will blow out the image like a light source would. So we would set that to either screen or add, but I don't know, it's a little cloudy outside. You need to make a judgment call on this. I think add will work best. And so that blows out the image, and the key here is to make this only 1 frame long as well. So it's a brightness for only one part, and we'll put this underneath the muzzle flare element. Whoops, move it back. Alright, so move this.
God, my haircut was stupid back then.
Extend this backwards, Yeah, Matt's haircut was stupid back then.
I have long, flowing, long hair.
Alright, so the first frame, you're going to take the opacity and keyframe. Make a keyframe of the opacity at 50% of its original brightness. And on the second frame, take the same keyframe and change the value to 25%. So here we have it, bright frame, medium frame, and then back to normal frame. Alright, and so the next step is to isolate the brightness, because it wouldn't just blow out the entire image, but only selective areas of our very talented actor that would be blown out. So what we're going to do here is create a shape mask. So what we're doing here is taking the shape and repositioning the area where it would affect. So this would be the face of our actor. And again, this is just scaling it down. The outer area is the feathered area that it would affect. So make sure it stays on his face. Add another shape mask here and change this, flatten it, lay it out, rotate it, put it on his forearm, and I guess it might affect his hand as well, but that's not the point. Alright, so I guess we'll just change this to normal quickly and open up the color correction controls. And under the exposure tab, we're going to peek out the whites in the image. So there we go. We have one frame of the whites blown out, one frame a little bit darker, and one frame where everything is back to normal. And you might even want to go into color, take the lightness, and give it a slight yellow tint. What am I doing here? You might even want to take the lightness of the duplicated layer, go in and give the color a very light yellow tint. Alright, so render that out so you can play it back. Take a second. There, and there's your effect. But arguably the most important part of the effect, with the exception of the flare itself, is the smoke. So here we've got some great smoke elements from DeadNationFilms.com, a great resource. Check them out. In this case, I think I will be using Smoky Flash Front 2, even though Matt's shooting to the side. I'll just use the smoke from this. I'll rotate it. So here we can bring it out into the presentation. And all Detonation film clips have a 10 frame long, I guess, bumper at the beginning. So we just need to scrub through until we reach the first frame. Cut it there, delete, and pull back. Pull it back. Put it between the muzzle flash and the base layer. And so here, like we did with the muzzle flash, we're going to go back and change the blending mode from normal to screen. There, now what we're going to do, we're going to take the transform tool, move it over on front of this, rotate it 90 degrees, and maybe scale it up. Done. And so our final effect is going to look a bit like this. So at this point, all you need to do is add a sound effect, and you've got yourself a very nice looking special effect of a muzzle flare in Final Cut Pro. Now, I highly recommend not using Final Cut Pro for something such as this. I'd use a video special effects program like Apple Motion or After Effects. But if you have to, and if you're in a situation where you only have Final Cut Pro, or if it would just take too much time to go into a different program and do it, you can do simple and fast and great looking effects like this in Final Cut Pro with minimal time and effort. Oh, and just to confirm, you would not have, just leave the normal blending mode on the footage layer, even though I said otherwise earlier. We have our color applied there. So there's really 3 elements to this very basic muzzle flash to keep track of. One is the muzzle flash itself. We'll include that at the end of the video. The other element is the smoke, which is very important. It might be hard to see in this, but it's, I don't know. It's hard. It's difficult to see, but it definitely helps out the image. And finally is the duplicated base layer with your color correction applied and the masked out to only affect the areas that would be affected by the bright light. With those 3 areas in mind, good luck. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.